Hey y'all, welcome to another LSU football live chat brought to you by The Advocate. My name is Jeff Nowak, The Advocate's digital sports producer, and I also work for NOLA.com dealing with the Saints and the Pelicans. I'd like to thank our sponsor today, Creed and Creed, for helping us bring this to y'all. And without further ado, let's get into it. LSU versus Texas A&M, another top 10 matchup for the Tigers. I'm going to pop a screen share up on here. Let's see if I can find a way to let y'all see this. Hey, there I am. And so basically what we're going to be looking at today is whether LSU can come into a top 10 matchup and not lay an egg like they did against Auburn a few weeks back. It feels like a lifetime ago they played that game. Auburn wasn't a top 10 team at that point. They still aren't, but LSU did not look like they were in the same league as Auburn in that game. And you're going to hope, let me adjust this camera here so I can be in the frame. You're going to hope to see a better performance out of them. But first, let me hear y'all. Let me hear y'all's questions, comments, anything. Throw them in the chat, and I'll see if I can get to them, see what we can talk about. But basically, what you have here is a kind of a come to Jesus moment for LSU in that they need to show today what they didn't show against Auburn and what they haven't got a chance to show against, the blue bloods of the SEC in the Alabamas, the Floridas, the teams that LSU is used to being able to really show up and show out against, and they just haven't this year so far. They laid an egg early on against Mississippi State. They laid an egg against Missouri in a game that you really would have hoped they could have shown off in, and they just haven't shown the ability to really kind of stick it to anyone on the defensive side of the ball. Last week against Arkansas, they showed they have a bit more in the tank than what you saw in the first few weeks. They didn't allow a single third down conversion from Arkansas in that game, and getting off the field on third down is something that LSU has really struggled to do so far in this season. They did that against Arkansas. I'm just trying to pull up a post here so we can go through some of the numbers. They did that against Arkansas, and what you saw as a result is they dominated time of possession in that game. They just flat out dominated. It was not close. They won it by at least 25 minutes in a 60-minute football game, and that's how this LSU team needs to be able to win. They didn't need to do that last year when they had that high-flying offense. This year with TJ Finley in there, especially with TJ Finley in there, they really need to control the ball. They need to run the ball, and that's what they did last week. Ty Davis-Price really had a nice game, and as you can see here, Arkansas attempted 10 third down plays, and they converted 0 of them. Now, they converted a couple fourth down plays, and they had a couple big plays over the top. I want to say they had 4. They had 4 plays of 50-plus yards. 2 of them were exactly 50 yards. And that's how they stayed in the game. And that's obviously a problem that LSU has had all season. I don't think that's going to go away. But the ability to get off the field when they had opportunities to do that is going to allow them to control the ball on the offensive side. And when you get to the fourth quarter, you're going against a tired defense. And TJ Finley showed last week that he was able to drive the ball down the field and get a key score when they needed it. If y'all can hear me, let me know. I'm having trouble with my audio as always, but if not, let me know and I'll see what I can do to fix it. It appears that everything's working fine. Let me just double check because I haven't seen the interaction from anybody. Test? Yeah, that's working. All right, so getting back here. So we have a couple stats to keep an eye on. One of them is 25. An LSU quarterback has thrown a touchdown in 25 consecutive games. That almost ended against Missouri. Or I'm sorry, not against Missouri, against Auburn. How many weeks ago was that? It was 2 games ago, but it feels like it was about a month and a half ago because it was with all the cancellations and postponements. There was Max Johnson in that game who threw the touchdown pass late. TJ Finley threw 1 or 2. He threw 2 this last week against Arkansas, and we'll see about today. Texas A&M is a very good football team. This is not the Texas A&M that LSU beat up on last year. They won 50-7 in that matchup, I want to believe, and that was just a game that you saw LSU come out and flat out dominate. But that has been the case more often than not. LSU 7-1 against Texas A&M since they went to the SEC, and the only loss, as you probably remember, came a couple of years ago in the 7 overtime just marathon that I still have some nightmares about. Going back at that, I want to say it was 74-72. It was a slugfest. It was Kellen Mond and Joe Burrow in his first season as a starter. And you hope you hope LSU can be the Texas A&M in that matchup, where they went in as the underdog and really kind of stuck it to LSU. And I think LSU would be thrilled if they came out and pushed Texas A&M, a top 10 team, the way Texas A&M did them that year. First, let's go to a word from our sponsors, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about the game specifically and what we're going to be looking at.
This is not a dramatization or a paid testimonial. I'm Christian Creed, and let me tell you, car wrecks can wreck lives. As a former insurance adjuster and as a licensed accident investigator, I've handled hundreds of accident claims. If you or a loved one have been involved in a car accident, no matter how big or small, let me put my experience to work for you. Call Creed & Creed. We're serious attorneys for serious injuries.
All right, we are back, and we are about 45 minutes from kickoff. LSU, Texas A&M. One thing to keep in mind in this matchup, you really want to see TJ Finley come out and show a bit more poise, a bit more, I don't want to say confidence, but a bit more. I'm just going to navigate back to our LSU subpage so I can go through some of the content. Let's see. That works fine. LSU. You want to see a bit more just consistency from him. When things start to go poorly, you can't compound that with poor decision making, and that's something you worry about when you throw a true freshman quarterback into the mix. He didn't do that last week. The Arkansas really kind of stuck it to LSU, and every time it felt like LSU was taking control of the game, Arkansas would hit a big play over the top and really just keep that game tight. And they ended up taking a lead in the fourth quarter. LSU and TJ Finley was very confident in how they came back, but you really want to see from TJ Finley specifically, Texas A&M is going to stick it to LSU a little bit in this game. They're 2-score favorites, and this game shouldn't be close. I mean, Texas A&M should rout LSU in this game if LSU plays the way that they have kind of demonstrated that the skill level that they have in this 2020 pandemic tinged season with all the players opting out, with Miles Brennan getting hurt. And it's going to be interesting to see how TJ Finley reacts. Can he stay poised? Can he stay confident and really just guide the offense in a way that allows LSU to control the ball, that can stack some first downs, that can avoid from getting into a situation where you're trying to win a shootout. This LSU team is not going to win a shootout. This LSU team needs to punch the other team in the mouth, really kind of overwhelm them on the lines and see what happens. They need to get pressure on the quarterback to hold up. The defense is not going to be able to play coverage and expect to win this game. You want to see them have fewer breakdowns in the secondary, but I don't know if that's coming this year, just with the way that the secondary has struggled to overcome some simple but difficult to cover concepts, rub concepts, where the slot receiver dips under the outside receiver, and the communication needs to come on the defensive backside and say, okay, you're taking this route upfield, I'm going to cross and take this route upfield. And that's what hasn't happened. That's what LSU got beat on early in the game last week, where two defensive backs just ran into each other because they weren't communicating. No one knew, Derek Stingley, and I want to say it was Cordell Flott, just kind of, they were chasing their receivers and they had no idea that it was a rub concept, and they just bumped into each other, and Burks ended up free over the top, and that's the type of thing that has been happening a lot, has been a very frustrating thing for fans, and I know the players to watch happen over and over again, and that's where you need to see them hold up. Let's see. Don't see any reader questions, so I'm just going to get a little closer to what we're looking at, which is LSU versus Texas A&M, 3-3 versus 5-1. Can LSU go into Kyle Station and get a win? We'll find out. I'm going to let you get back to the pregame. We got about 40 minutes until kickoff. That's at 6 p.m. And thanks to Creed & Creed again for sponsoring our pregame live chat. And let's see what happens. Thanks, y'all.